I'm late, I know, but I want to get this done. But at least I did not miss out on doing these reviews. I'm MegamanNG and I welcome you to another Yakuza Ace Attorney Anime Season 2 review. Today we're going to be talking about Episode 8, Recipe for Turnabout's Second Trial. Here's the deal, I'll provide a summary, as well as some of the main points. And if you wonder why I'm also a bit late, it's because I'm eating. Let's begin. The trial in the previous episode only brings more questions than answers. So now Nick must investigate further while Maya works at Trade Bien as a waiter. What follows in this investigation is a myriad of hidden truths that connect the one responsible to an accident, and how it all connects to the victim and the case in hand. As I mentioned already with last week's episode had its pacing on overdrive, having one half investigation, one half trial, which I can honestly say it was not very good. This week's episode, however, is a bit of a reprieve because it's all investigation. Although even that is doubtful because it's still flawed no matter what. Yes, there are a few things of note here. For starters, Maya starts her job at Trade Bien as a waitress, albeit temporarily. It is nice seeing Maya in a waitress outfit, but it does lead to a moment in the anime that I find to be appropriate. Anyone who played this case in the game should know, and that's Mia channeling in and pretty much helping out, which gets Victor Kudo blushing like a strawberry. Yeah, that to me was a highlight, although it makes you wonder why Mia decided to just come out of nowhere to help. It to me was just a beautiful highlight. I really do mean that. We also do get to learn more about Furio Tigre and Viola Cadaverini, and how the two of them are connected along with the victim Glen Elg. But if you want a summary, since you guys have already seen me do it on my playthrough on YouTube, you know that Furio Tigre works for Bruno Cadaverini. Viola Cadaverini is Bruno's granddaughter. And they're connected because Furio, being a dumb idiot, was in an accident and Viola Cadaverini suffered a severe head injury. And that severe head injury worked because it didn't help that Furio had no choice but to pay $1 million, or 100 million yen in the Japanese version. What does it have to do with all this? Especially with the victim? Because the victim, Glen Elg, well, lended money from tender lender, about, say, 10 to 50 million yen. He lended a lot of money, gambled, and blew it all away, and just as he was about to get himself beat by Furio Tigre, he did work on a virus called MC Bomber. And that MC Bomber, according to Gumshoe, would be worth millions of dollars in the black market. Like Nick would say, inconceivable. Gumshoe was right for a change. And when the lottery win happened, he was winning 50 million yen, or $500,000. Yeah, it meant that Furio Tigre can't get his money back. So he decided to enact this entire thing to kill Glen Elg, obtain the MC Bomber virus, and use it on the black market so he can make several $1,000,000 in the process. Not to mention, Furio Tigre doesn't give a damn about Viola. And you can actually tell in the episode you really do feel bad for Viola. You also can't help but feel bad for Maggie either. Both of them really have been through a lot. With Viola, as I've already mentioned, having been through the worst. She actually cries. She cries in the episode upon realizing that Furio didn't really love her. He didn't really care for her. He only saw her as a means to an end, and he was more than happy to throw her aside if needed. It's reason enough why to me it was a heartwarming scene. It was a heartwarming yet sad scene. Very sad. I feel bad for her though, truthfully. And yes, this episode is not complete without the epic moment. Gumshoe gets his epic moment to shine at the end, saving Nick and Maya. Just like in the game when he actually saved Nick from, well, Furio Tigre. When they were in Trade Bien, they were trapped. It was just awesome. All of it does set up for next week's episode, being that this is the last trial. Why the last trial? I have no idea. I still find it to be the weakest arc so far. And this episode is flawed. Very flawed. And there are some complaints that I have. One of the complaints that I've got is that some segments that was in this episode should have been for last week's episode. The Victor Kudo bit where Maya and Nick had to get info from Kudo, that should have been saved up for last week's episode, not this week's. Not to mention, some scenes were cut. Yes, there was a scene that was cut. Like, For example, the Criminal Affairs Department freaking out over the computer virus. That was cut. Not to mention, there was also one where Nick and Maya meet the lead programmer. And through a psych lock battle, they learn as to why Glenn did what he did and why he had to go to Furio, Tigre, and the like. That was cut off completely. And I understand that these guys want to cut corners, but come on, don't do it at the expense of the plot. Trust me, this adaptation is already being rocky enough as it is. The last case, at least they did it properly since they have everything and everyone. But this week, however, not so much. This case, not so much. And that to me is my issue. This episode is an improvement from last week's episode, but it still has its issues. It still has a ton of issues. And even though the investigation bits does give it time to breathe, my problem with the episode is that, yeah, some scenes were shuffled around while others were cut altogether. And that is a problem. That really is. But why do I still continue to review this show? Because it's my obligation. I want to see it all through to the end. Plus, you guys kind of like me doing Ace Attorney related stuff. This episode for me gets a 6.5 out of 10. It's not a bad episode, but it isn't that good either. It's just okay. Not to mention a bit problematic to boot. Especially with what I mentioned with the flaws. Though there is some stuff that make up for it. But either way, I could be wrong, and you are free to disagree with me. So yeah, that is going to be it for this Ace Attorney anime review. Next week, you guys will be hearing my thoughts on Recipe for Turnabout, The Last Trial. And then after that, who knows? Who knows what these guys got up their sleeves? Since they're going to be doing 25 episodes an entire season, I hope the animators got something planned, because my guess they will do either one of two things. We know that the OVA is going to be covering Phoenix's life in college, which is going to be nice. If we're getting more anime originals, this I don't mind. But I only hope these guys can pull it off. Guys, A1 Pictures, please don't screw it up for my sake. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button. It really does mean a lot to me. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and more importantly, click on the bell. All of it means a lot to me. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. See you next week for Recipe for Turnabout, Last Trial. Igi'ari!